If nothing changes, this is the moment Dragon Ball Legends begins its decline. This isn't about hating on Super Vegito because I think he's a pretty cool character. This is about what the legend rarity represents, because Ultras already have structural, foundational problems, but the legend rarity just stacks on top of that. Hey, Grimmy here, and for the first time in a long time, I am genuinely surprised with basically nothing to say, other than, subscribe so that you're notified when the next video comes out. But today I'm going to be breaking down why this could snowball fast. The truth behind the legend rarity. This is basically the first ever Legends Limited Ultra. I mean, it's Vegito with a massive aesthetic upgrade, higher production in the animation. I mean, he has an ink brush animation in the damn ult. He's a completely new rarity, being purple plus, so basically being a purple unit who deals more damage against green units, which, I mean, completely screws over Super Full Power Saiyan 4 Goku, but I'm gonna be saving that for a different video. And I mean, basically, the character throughout, from like the Dokabaki impact animation against Buhan, to the level change animation, just all of it having cinematic quality. And like, this makes Vegito and the legend rarity moving forward a tier above Ultra in itself, obviously, but all of these things really cement its position. And that's exactly where our first problem begins. Ultras were never fixed. In terms of key issues, when it comes to Ultras, we obviously deal with some pretty crappy, poor summon rates, right? Like 0.35% as a baseline has always been bad. I've always advocated for more, advocated for better, especially when it comes to the second step, which actually doubles the rates. I mean, like, it doesn't really matter when the percentage is so small. Not to mention the fact that the pity system is gated behind the first appearance of the banner, basically the Ultra Rising debut, and it's still on the last multi of the 15th rotation, making it basically unattainable for the free-to-play community at large. Even for low spenders, it's really unrealistic for most players. Not to mention the fact that there's a CC cap for the free-to-play players, right? At 20,000 CC, you can't actually exchange for any more Chrono Crystals from the raid exchange shops, from the co-op exchange shops, from the PvP exchange shops. This has been a huge thing holding back free-to-play players like me from actually saving Chrono Crystals to save up for these massive banners and surprise releases, especially for the Ultras coming during the massive celebrations like anniversaries and Legends festivals. And this kind of thing creates community fatigue. So many people who've already saved up basically got shafted, all of their hard work pays off for absolutely nothing. Ultras were already difficult to justify. Many players were already skipping banners, deciding that, okay, I'm not going to summon on this Ultra because there's probably going to be a better one dropping in the future. And the devs never repaired this foundation for Ultras. Everything wrong with them barely received any fixes, and it's been a problem ever since. So what happens when you stack something even rarer on top of that? How every problem becomes worse. If Ultra acquisition is difficult, Legend rarity will likely be worse. I mean, they'll probably have lower rates compared to Ultras, and considering that Ultras already have a 0.35% chance of actually getting on the average multi on their banners, I mean, what do you expect from the Legend rarity? I mean, they would probably be equal, like in a perfect world, in Utopia basically. Legend will basically replace the rates for Ultras and be at 0.35%, which I guess is much more attainable than how people would normally expect, but that would obviously mean Ultras would have better rates as well. Again, that's in a perfect world, something that we know we don't live in, especially considering how they've treated Ultras thus far. The threshold for the pity will probably be even higher, or the banner system will probably be worse. There's more pressure on monetization in the game, creating the psychological effect of FOMO, right? It becomes even worse. It gets intensified, taken to 11, and spending pressure also increases, right? Like I said before, I think a lot of the low spending players will need to actually cross the boundary to mid and high spending if they're going to get the best character in the game and lock in their position for the next meta season. This creates a few long-term risks. I mean, it really alienates the free-to-play community. I don't really like Legend Rarity, considering that we haven't seen how it's going to be handled moving forward. I already feel like I'm going to get shafted, quote-unquote, before I even summon. And then it creates low spender burnout, once again, kind of moving into that FOMO and spending pressure like I said before, and it really erodes the community trust. You know, it's not even like this. I feel like there's also the irony of the Legend Rarity, something that is like very personally meaningful, something that matters a lot to me. It's something that I talk about a lot on the channel. I think Vegito's animations are, once again, cinematic with a truly premium feel. But this is what Ultras were always promised to be. Unique Dokubaki impact animations, and with dynamic area battles, unique level change animations as well. This is what Ultras should have been from the get-go. Instead, I think Ultras really stagnated, and a lot of animations, especially for Dokubaki impacts and key charging, were simply recycled. And now the true premium experience is locked behind an even higher rarity. They didn't even fix Ultras, they just replaced them. And I feel like the trust ends here. Because the short-term hype of Super Vegito having such wonderful animations and a really powerful kit, it's hype, right? And it's really exciting. But this only masks the issues that exist alongside it. Once the unit's rates are revealed, once we start to see how the Legend rarity is going to be handled moving forward, the potential for even stronger, more vitriolic backlash is high. And even with existing frustrations, like with complaints regarding the pity system for Ultras and the fatigue for the rapid release of so many premium and powerful power-creeping characters, I feel like this release has more potential than any other to cement distrust in the community when we're looking at the devs, reinforcing the narrative that, oh, they're just a bunch of greedy people. As a conclusion, if Dragon Ball Legends wants the Legend rarity to succeed, to not kick off the death of Dragon Ball Legends, they need to implement better Ultra and LF rates to compensate, along with a better pity system. More importantly, they need to remove the CC cap so we can actually start farming for these really premium characters. There needs to be a clear distinction between cosmetic prestige and competitive necessity. And as frustrated and as scared as I am, the Legend rarity isn't inherently evil. The system it enters determines the survival of the game moving forward. And this is really just a fork in the road moment. If the devs believe that monetization is more important than player trust, the decline for Dragon Ball Legends will likely accelerate. We're talking about players basically leaving the game and taking an indefinite break because they don't know where the game is going to go moving forward. But if reforms happen, if the previously mentioned fixes are implemented, this could be a whole new era for Dragon Ball Legends. The death of Dragon Ball Legends doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with decisions like this. But what do you think? Am I being too scared of the upcoming quote-unquote apocalypse? Or do you agree that I have a right to be scared about the future of Dragon Ball Legends? Let me know in the comments. If you want to see the issues regarding Ultras that Legends still hasn't fixed yet, you can check out the video on your left. Or if you want to see how LFs, and specifically monthly LFs, haven't really been fixed either, really adding on to the previously mentioned issues, you can check out the video on your right. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. Bye, thanks for watching, never stay perfect. Always get better. Peace.